I want to briefly share with you a handful of tools that are out there for your benefit, hopefully. The first one is a portal called business911.org. If you are a business owner, if you're an employee, if you're a person looking for a job, this is a great simple tool that you can use to understand what services are available to you in your community. Am I sharing my screen? Can you see my screen? No.
No.
All right, let me do that as well. So this is business911.org. When you click on Grow Missouri, you get a variety of options. The educational series, the event that we're participating in today, you will see all of our previous recordings there as well. So you can scroll through here. We've had some really great discussions in the past. You can look through those and also look for events, our upcoming events. And there's just a variety of other resources that you can access here. If you're looking for a local intern, if you're looking for resources, if you're looking for local jobs, if you want to post jobs, those are all options that are available to you. So just wanted to make sure that you are aware of that. So without further ado, Teresa Snyder, we're so excited that she's joined us today. She's with Missouri Community Betterment. She's the executive director. Incredibly passionate about communities from Missouri, has traveled all over the world, worked in a variety of arenas, including community economic development. And so just brings just a rich variety of experiences that we thought could be tremendously beneficial for our community's leaders to hear from. So without further ado, Teresa, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to hearing what you have to share with us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity, and it's great to see that communities are utilizing different platforms to get information out and shared. So thank you very much for this opportunity. So a little history on myself, just to kind of give you an idea of why I'm so passionate about Missouri Community Betterment and the communities that I serve. I was born and raised in Shelby County, graduated from high school there, and lived abroad, well, lived all over for 20 years, married a serviceman. We started out in England, and then Texas, New York, North Dakota, Alaska, and back to Texas. So it was either hot or cold. And when I left my hometown of approximately 1,000 people, my perspective was, this town has nothing to offer me. Thank goodness I'm getting out of here. Famous last words. What happened was that over time, my priorities changed. It became important to me that my girls were in a good school system where they received individual attention and instruction. That we lived in a low crime area, a place where neighbors don't just coexist on the same street, but interact and look out for each other. All of these things and more shifted my perspective. After 20 years of living wherever Uncle Sam determined we should be, it was our decision to decide where we wanted to land and place roots. And so we chose Missouri. It was kind of a no-brainer for us. But my oldest daughter, when we moved to Missouri, thought that we had ruined her life. She went from an 8th grade class in Texas of approximately 300 to a K through 12 school district that was doing good to have 300 students. There was nothing to do. We were an hour from the mall. People were boring. All things that I heard come out of her mouth. Today, she is married to a third generation farmer, owns a daycare and a home baking business, and is very active in the community. And most importantly, is the mommy to my perfect granddaughter, Evelyn Joyce. And she wouldn't change a thing. So my advice after saying all of this is reach out to your alumni. They may just be waiting for an opportunity to move back to their hometown. So what is Missouri Community Betterment? Well, if I can get my slides to work for me here, I will tell you. Okay, MCB is here to serve any community of any size. We find that our niche, per se, is the smaller communities who may or may not have paid staff in the areas of economic and community development. If you look at most rural communities, a great deal of the work being done to improve their quality of life is being led by volunteers. These individuals may serve on the city council, be local business owners, ministers, teachers, students, but they all choose to donate their time to the common cause. In many cases, there is a communication disconnect between various community volunteers or nonprofit groups and local government entities. So although the city and county officials may be up to date on the programs and resources available through organizations such as the Regional Planning Commission, a volunteer group within the same community pursuing a project to repurpose an empty school building into a community center may not be aware that the Regional Planning Commission has programs that can assist them in moving their project forward and possibly put them in touch with some funding sources. So MCB provides that conduit. Our job is to encourage, support, and enable communities to be successful in their community betterment efforts by connecting them to the resources they need. So we are a connector. I often say that my job is to connect the dots. And I apologize. Why does he not want to work with me? Okay. I'm sorry. There we go. It just does not want to cooperate. Okay, who are the communities that work with us? Well, and again, it's not working with me. Okay, here we go. So let me introduce you to the communities who currently participate with us. Our largest community is Hannibal and the smallest is Allendale. I love to tell the story about Allendale because they're an excellent example of where there's a will, there's a way, or don't underestimate the power of 3 women determined to see their community thrive. Allendale has a population of about 50 people, yet they host a rodeo each year that brings in approximately 3,000 visitors. Talk about figuring it out. It's like being a grandparent. You enjoy your grandbabies, reap the benefits of having them visit, then send them on their way and go back to your peaceful, quiet life. So Allendale hosts the rodeo each year, which brings in people from all over, generates revenue to facilitate community improvements, and enjoys their quiet little town the remainder of the year. It's genius. Some of you in the audience today are from communities that currently participate with us. Buffalo's been with us for 3 years. Salem has been with us for 25. Marshfield was a member back in 1976, and we'd love to have them join us again. And then Aurora, the most recent year they participated with us was 2014. We have 3 communities that have been with us all 56 years, which is amazing. They're Perryville, Caledonia, and Albany. It is not uncommon for participation to ebb and flow, and most often the reason that a community will fall off the radar with us is that they have a change in leadership. So succession planning is something else that we try to assist with so that it doesn't fall when 1 or 2 people leave or choose to not continue with community betterment efforts. Okay, now I'd like to talk to you about some upcoming events and opportunities that we have. And we are gearing up for the 56th annual MCB Conference to be held at Heritage Fields, a special event venue in Mexico, Missouri. And Rashu, if you want to go to the next slide, there you go. In the past, we have held our conference in Jeff City, Columbia, and the Lake of the Ozarks. But this year we decided to do something a bit different and decided to host it in a rural setting. We're fortunate to receive a generous contribution from Commerce Bank to cover the venue expense. The luncheon on Monday is being provided by the local Adrian County Cattlemen's Association and Adrian County pork producers. And our snack breaks, we're going to receive some yummy treats from Dawn Foods there in Mexico. So it's an example of everyone working together. This event's open to all. You don't have to be a participating community with MCB to attend and take part. In fact, if you're unsure of whether or not MCB is a good fit for your community, attending the conference is one of the best ways to get a full understanding of who we are and what we do. Okay. So we're really excited about this new portion of the conference that we're going to offer. It will kick off the event on Sunday evening, October 13th. So imagine having the opportunity to tour several Missouri communities in one evening without having to drive anywhere. Now imagine the engaging conversations, networking opportunities, and storytelling that accompanies a setting like that. And what if your community is among those being showcased? Then add professionals from resource organizations that are there to learn about your community and share information of other programs and funding sources that could assist you in moving your community forward. This is a scenario for success. One of the comments I hear all the time from community members is how valuable it is to them to have opportunities like the MCB Conference to network, share, and learn from like-minded individuals. You know, I can talk to you all day long, but ultimately when you're visiting with other community members that face similar challenges, that is really of the most value. So some of the conference, if you want to go back, Rishu,
Sure.
That's okay. So one of the sessions that we are going to have is managing media mania, and the pace and magnitude of social media presence in our lives is sometimes overwhelming. Not only that, but how do you know what's factual and what isn't? What deserves your attention? How do we need to suss out the fluff and nonsense? So this session will prove to be very valuable to all of us swimming in the pool of wanted and unwanted social media. And another session we will have is, so over the past year or so, MCB Board of Directors and staff, along with Jupiter Communications, which is owned and operated by Crystal Golnick, we've taken a really close look at the programs we offer, who our customer is, and especially what are those customer needs. We put a new strategic plan in place and new programming initiatives, partnerships, and outreach. One program we will introduce at the fall conference is the MCB Map Tool, which stands for Measuring and Awarding Progress. So this 2-hour session will be encompassed on us explaining this tool. I'll expand upon the map further in our discussion today, but wanted to include this slide now because we are going to use this game technique during the conference session to acquaint, educate, and empower community members to utilize the map tool effectively moving forward. So communities will leave with a game board and the pieces and instructions for them to take back to their community and use those in meetings or gatherings of their community members to walk through that process themselves. One more session is going to be our meals, deals, and reels. And the first portion of the session will focus on the flow of money through a community and the impact it has on your economy. Sally Burbridge, economic developer for Salem and Dent County, will present the monopoly economy. It's a hands-on demonstration of how the economy works, brought down to a localized level. After participating in the exercise, you will better understand how your personal spending habits affect businesses in your community. And I forgot to mention previously, but the conference is intergenerational. So we will have youth and adults interacting, engaging throughout the conference, all in the same room, and working through these initiatives. So the second portion of this session will include discussion and sharing from Missouri community members who have created a successful downtown revitalization and/or shop local effort. On the panel will be representatives from Perryville and Monroe City, and they're going to share their stories. I'm going to break here and see if we have any questions before I move on.
Aurora, any questions from your side? Shannon, anything? You guys are muted, so you guys are good. Okay. How about Tanya? How are we doing in Buffalo? Any questions, thoughts?
Teresa, is Perryville the city that's highlighted in Andrew McCrae's presentation? I think it is, maybe. So that's the one he talks about?
When he was at our conference?
Well, as in his book, and yeah, in his speaking.
Yes.
I was thinking maybe.
Among other communities. He highlights a lot of different communities, but yeah, Perryville is one of them.
Go ahead and ask your question.
Well, just how do you get more people to start shopping local? Because like people at Buffalo don't really seem like they do that.
Well, each community has different initiatives to encourage that, and it's not a one size fits all, definitely. But the presenters that will be at the conference are going to showcase their efforts and what has worked for them, and those in participation at the conference can take that information and utilize it, sort of tailor it for their community as they see fit. I don't have a one size fits all answer for you, but conversing and interacting with other communities of similar size and demographics and challenges would certainly help you come up with a solution and answer to that question.
Okay. Anything else, Tanya?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. So our final session on Monday will be provided by Michael Sweeney. He's a Missouri Bicentennial Coordinator for the State Historical Society of Missouri. Joining Mr. Sweeney will be individuals from MCB communities who are currently involved in this bicentennial effort, and they will be from Maysville and Houston, and they're going to talk about what they're doing. There's a great deal of history in our little towns, and this is an opportunity to encourage any other community who would like to become involved to promote their heritage and culture. So that will be our final session on Monday. And next I want to talk about our recognition and awards celebration. So you may know these ladies. As a matter of fact, some of them are in the audience today. For those of you who are not aware, Buffalo won the MCB Grand Prize in 2018. Whoop, whoop. Every year, MCB communities and youth groups submit community improvement projects, and we assess them, rank them, and award them at the annual conference. This year, Tanya was one of our judges that went out into the communities, and she got to be on the other side of that process. So we appreciate her doing that. It's our way of saying thank you and formally recognizing the hard work and pride of those who proactively work to improve the quality of life in their communities. Tanya reluctantly returned the trophy to me while we were in Columbia for the judges training so that I can present it to the winner for the Community of the Year this year, which it might be Buffalo, you never know. The award is presented in honor of Mr. Gene Spicinger. He was a longtime advocate and supporter of community betterment efforts. And moving on. So some of the projects that have been highlighted over the years, I wish I could share all of them with you, but above are some examples, and these were submitted in 2018. On the left, we have Steelville. Mike Sherman, a local police officer, and Steelville youth worked together to create, build, and continually maintain this blessing box. They took into consideration the location and chose a local church, which is in the center of the town. And it allows those in need to take what they need and giving individuals to leave what they can. The picture on the right is of the Melba Theater, located in downtown Houston. Houston won the Community of the Year award in 2017, and it was largely in part due to the multi-year expansive effort to provide a community venue that hosts plays, school concerts, movies, and more. So if you haven't visited Houston, I would highly recommend it, as well as any of the communities that we represent. Each one is unique. I always say that they have an attitude and a personality and a lot of attributes to celebrate. On the next slide, we have examples of youth projects submitted in past years. So on the left, we have Lamar 4-H teen leaders who wish to expand into a historic project covering beautification. The teens explored the opportunity with Missouri State Parks to volunteer at Harry S. Truman Birthplace. They wanted to create a butterfly garden, plant a liberty tree, and provide improvements to flower containers and beds. On the right, we have the early stage park to be built in Mount Vernon. The effort was initiated by the youth, planned and promoted through the youth-adult partnerships, and will create an outdoor recreation area that fosters interaction, exercise, and inclusion of all. So these are just a taste of the projects that we see every year, and they are about as diverse but highly impactful in their communities. So next I want to talk to you about, sorry, bear with me, our upcoming Youth Civic Leaders Summit. This will be the 5th year that Missouri has participated and co-hosted the event along with Missouri 4-H. And it's just, I can't say enough good things about it. It's a statewide gathering of teens and adults who are ready to engage with others on topics of leadership, service, and life. The youth come from clubs, councils, school groups, after-school programs, community betterment organizations, and other countywide groups. The youth-adult partnerships are a powerful and promising way for young people and adults to develop leadership while engaging in thoughtful and meaningful community work together. For any of you, if you're in a community where youth aren't being included in your conversations and planning and initiatives, I would highly encourage you to bring them to the table. We need to be engaging with them. They have amazing ideas. They have the willingness to move things forward, and they're not jaded like a lot of us adults. They see progress, and we can learn a lot from them for sure. The summit's held at Windermere Baptist Conference Center in Roach, Missouri each year, and while the youth are there, they start planning a project that they want to implement in their community upon return. And I like to mention Louisiana youth because they decided at the summit that they wanted to pursue a new basketball court in one of their downtown parks. And so they put the plan together while they were at the summit, and as soon as they got back to Louisiana, called the city hall and got on the agenda to present this in front of the city council, which they did. So imagine youth coming forward with not only a plan in place to make it happen, but also they received a mini grant, so they had a little bit of funding behind it. And the city council voted to procure the remaining funding and make this happen. And they had that court built within 6 months. So they just have a can-do attitude. I'm just going to mention a few things here, and then we'll watch this little video. So we understand that youth are our future, and their voices, opinions, and ideas are all crucial to the growth and survival of our communities. So each year, MCB communities are given the opportunity to serve, MCB youth are given the opportunity to serve on the Youth Advisory Board with MCB. They submit an application and 2 letters of recommendation, and then the board and I review those and determine who will be selected, and they are announced at the fall conference. One of their responsibilities is to assist in the planning of the Youth Summit. So they begin attending online planning meetings in October, and we have one monthly, and they are involved in planning, determining the theme, selecting speakers, creating the decorations, and they assist with session topics and more. Then during the summit, the Youth Advisory Board, along with a selected 4-H team, they lead energizers, introduce the speakers, and provide overall guidance and leadership throughout the event. Okay. On the left we're still on that slide. I'm sorry, Rishu. On the left is a photo from 19. You can see here that me, along with the youth, are having some fun, which it's nonstop the whole time you're there. The theme last year was Game On, Life Game On, and all of the decorations were created by the Youth Advisory Board. The theme was orchestrated around the game Life, which I imagine most of you are familiar with. And the middle photo is one of the landing spaces on the game board. If you can't read it, I will tell you what it says. Aluminum-sided little beauty, great location, lovely view, trailer hitch included, deals on wheels, realty $60,000 with insurance of $15,000. I mean, that just makes you smile that the youth came up with that. It's just, them using their imagination. And then on the right, of course, is the spinner used in the game of life. So now I would like for you to watch this brief video. It's from 2016, but it gives you a pretty good idea of the fun and learning experience there. And Rishu said he would sing, so.
Yeah, sorry the audio is not coming through, but at least you can see the video.
The audio is actually awful, so. There's Steve Hennis. They don't sit still very much, and we try to keep it that way. So the Edge Challenge course, there's a lot of team building exercises in it as well. And adults get to be kids. As you will see, the adults aren't always the ones holding the microphone, and they're definitely not always the ones engaging and having discussions. In the past, we have been fortunate to be able to cover some of the registration costs for youth from MCB communities to attend, and we hope to continue that. And it's for ages 14 to 18. It kicks off on Friday afternoon late so that they don't have to miss any school, and we finish up Sunday at noon. There are church services offered on site Sunday morning, so that is not something that they have to miss. Okay. Okay, now I would like to visit with you about some of the services and resources that we offer. So we understand that communities who are most successful in their efforts of community and economic development are those who work cohesively. When Missouri Community Betterment was formed in 1963, communities were at a very different stage of development and often greatly benefited from creating a community betterment organization in their towns. Today, some communities may still benefit from forming an entity separate, that is a community development group. However, your community may have several civic and service organizations with dedicated volunteers working to serve your community, and adding one more organization with meeting commitments and tasks may or may not be the right choice for you. MCB does not our mission is not to separate, but to be inclusive to all who are working toward the common goal. So therefore, the tool that you see in front of you was created to encourage community cohesiveness. The tool is not prescriptive. We are not trying to tell you what to do, and it's not a requirement for you to complete it to be a part of our organization. We do not intend to tell you exactly what defines improved quality of life and overall prosperity. Instead, the tool is a list of the elements that most thriving and attractive communities in the U.S. offer their residents of all ages. So on this next page, there are 4 sections within the tool, which include the who, where, what, and how. The who is people. Who are the people involved in your community? Where is plans of action, where your community is focused and envisions itself going in the future? What is your financial resources, infrastructure, and assets, resources your community has to support a strong economy? And then how, the quality of life your residents experience every day. The tool is meant to gain a better understanding of where your community is on the spectrum of development in all areas. Identify areas needing recognition and celebration. Determine the priorities your community would like to work on in the next 12 months to several years. You have your short-term and long-term goals. And it's to be used as a first step to a deeper and broader long-term strategic planning and our cross-sector collaboration process. Moving on to the next page. So this slide offers guidance on who you should invite to the table to discuss, plan, and implement action. Communities are places where different sectors, groups, organizations, faiths, professions, economic levels, backgrounds, talents, skills, and more are united because they have chosen to live, learn, work, and play next to each other. To make plans and decisions that affect many or all residents without giving all an opportunity to engage in the process not only alienates people, but may be excluding the exact idea or skill set needed to solve a problem, overcome a challenge, and create a new community asset. The diagram of American community composition serves as an example of who you may want to invite to a discussion about this self-assessment. So we all know that in communities, oftentimes there are a set group of people that you can expect to be involved in community betterment efforts. However, those that aren't at the table need to be invited. All of us have strengths and weaknesses, and although we might think we have a full grasp of where our community stands, it needs to be a holistic approach to be successful. On the next page, how does the benchmarking work? Well, there are many ways to think about scoring, ranking, benchmarking your community, but we have chosen to guide you through with the proven performance improvement methods. So this tool is designed to help leaders in grassroots, volunteer, and career positions alike assess where you are on a wide range of promising practice. Within the 4 sections, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead there. So the benchmarks include reactive, early, mature, and role model, and there's explanations next to each of those benchmarks. And that is what you will use to assess where you're currently at in your community. So on the next page, within the 4 sections mentioned previously, the who, what, where, how, you'll find relevant focus areas that you will rank accordingly. So for example, within the people section, we have school readiness and brain development, K through 12 education, youth civic empowerment, youth community recreation, adult civic service, social groups. So these are all areas that you'll want to explore, and by ranking each focus area, you will gain a better perspective of your community's strengths and weaknesses. Toward the back of the map tool, once all 4 sections have been completed, you will carry the total to the final chart and add them together and place your comprehensive total in the lower right. This will tell you where your community stands. Once the tool is complete, communities are encouraged to determine 1 to 3 initiatives that they wish to pursue. From there, we ask that you share the tool with us at MCB, and our job is to connect you with resource partners that can assist you with initiatives that you set in place. We encourage communities to complete this tool annually to determine progress and areas needing attention. And should the community wish to participate in our recognition program, this tool will be the basis for awarding progress moving forward. As I mentioned, this tool will be presented at the fall conference during the 2-hour session, and we will be using the game to create an interactive, engaging platform to learn. Then in 2020, MCB will facilitate on-site community visits to walk you through this process, and we will also have educational webinars covering each section, and you can watch it section by section as you have time. And we plan to discuss this at our regional meetings as well. I think I have a couple more slides. Do you want to address questions on the information I just covered, or would you like for me to continue?
Teresa, let's wrap up the presentation, then we can ask the questions.
Okay, sounds good. So on the next slide, one of the perks that participating communities receive if they participate with us is the online portion of, there's a login section on the MCB website. And here you'll find an online communication and knowledge transfer platform. So for instance, if you have a question, you pose it on this platform and it goes out to all of the MCB community members and they can answer you back directly. So you don't have to recreate the wheel. If you're working on something that someone else has already done, they can share their hurdles, their success, and help you along your way. The MCD Map Tool will be located there. We have a community project matrix from the years 2006 to 2018. A community inventory form, guidance on writing a mission statement, and much more. Some of these tools you might not think that a community would need assistance with, but as I said before, many of the communities that we work with are very, very rural. One thing I haven't mentioned thus far either is that we have a participation fee structure, and we want our communities to have buy-in. So if you're a community with a population up to 1,000, it's only $100 a year. If your population is 1,001 to 7,499, it is $250 a year. And if your population is above 7,500, it's a $400 participation fee annually. Now, we don't dictate where that funding should come from. We actually encourage communities to utilize a diverse funding group. So for instance, maybe you have a church organization in your community that's very active in community improvements, and your chamber is also very active, or there's a Rotary, or maybe there's a youth group. Then if each wanted to contribute toward that participation fee, then you have buy-in at your level as well. And most often, if a group has applied some dollars toward a membership of any sort, they're a little more likely to want to take part and receive resources and information from that organization. So, and then finally, another option that we offer is called it's the Before You Ask form. If your community is planning a project that will require a grant application or outreach for funding from another source that requires an application, this tool is very helpful. You simply complete the form, send it in to me, and then I share it with our rural funding team, which consists of professionals from a wide range of resource partner agencies and organizations. So for example, USDA Rural Development, Department of Economic Development, your regional planning commissions, foundations, etc. The team of professionals will review your information and provide suggestions to strengthen your application, ask questions that may not be answered on the form but are relevant to the project you are pursuing. And then they'll also share any funding opportunities that they're aware of that you may not know about. So if you are pursuing a project and you're applying for a grant, and one of the professionals knows of another funding source that you might want to reach out to, they will share that with you as well. Then once we have this all compiled, it's sent back to you, and you can utilize it as you wish. And that is all I have. It's enough, huh?
Thanks, Teresa. Can you talk a little bit about how the program could be relevant to local business owners? What's some ways in which they could experience benefits of the MCB program?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I think it was before we were on the being recorded, but you can't have community development without economic development, and vice versa. They go hand in hand. If you have a community that is thriving, most often it is going to have a strong community quality of life, as well as a strong economy and business representation. So it is of interest, and it behooves business owners to interact with community organizations and assist with promoting these efforts, because it's going to make the whole stronger, the whole community stronger. Just as we reviewed in the map tool, you can see where the more diverse group of individuals you have at the table that have a vested interest in the success of the community, the more chance of success you have. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does, thank you. Aurora, questions? Shannon?
Sorry, now I'm unmuted. As far as the assessment, that is only going to be open to the members of MCB, correct?
As of right now, it has been proposed to the board to eventually open it up and it not be proprietary to MCB community members. But as of right now, it is part of the benefits of being an MCB community.
Well, I think it's exciting, and I'm excited to see what happens with the new map, because I think that's really great. So
Thank you. Thank you. We'd love to have Aurora back on board again.
I'm going to talk to my city manager, see if he'll write y'all a check.
Well, like I said, it does not have to come from City Hall. It you know.
Here it does, because we have no money in the chamber. So,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm going to talk to him and see if we could at least maybe talk about partnership between the two of us. So.
And feel free to have them reach out to me if they have any questions.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. Tanya?
Okay, go ahead. So Teresa, I learned a ton, by the way. A whole lot. So I have a question. We have a very proactive extension center here in 4-H that's just kind of getting pumped back up in the last, I think they've undergone some restructuring. Anyway, that's not the question. The question is, the communities that are sending their kids to this, what appears to be an awesome experience, does their local extension or the extension that services their area have anything to do with organizing that, recruiting? I mean, are they a part of that process, or do they?
A lot of times, yes. So there are youth groups from multiple 4-H groups around the state. However, the representation of youth that are from Missouri Community Betterment communities come from a wide variety of areas. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be, they don't have to be a 4-H youth to participate.
It's an extension 4-H thing. It's an extension 4-H initiative or program event.
Right,
okay.
but MCB co-hosts it, so any youth
Gotcha.
from MCB communities are invited to attend. So the youth that, for instance, say in your community, when you have a project or an initiative and you reach out to youth to assist with it, who are those youth? Is it a youth church group? Is it kids that are involved in the youth version of the Rotary? Is it Lions Club youth? So there's just so many different, and sometimes it's a youth that's not involved in any of those, and they might be your next future leader of your community. So we don't want to exclude anyone.
It looks awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think I have as much fun as the kids do.
Windermere's a great facility. It's just, there's a lot of fun down there.
It is.
Do anything like that for adults?
Oh, I'm sure they have. I'm sure we could find it.
We should have. We
Oh.
should have. Although I will say that the conference plan for this year is going to be very interactive and engaging. The youth and adults both are going to be up and moving around. We're going to be playing a lot of games. I don't know, we might break out and dance. Whatever it takes. So
Windermere would be a great place to have a conference.
yes, it would. Yes, it definitely would. Although we try to keep it in a centralized location, it's tough because we have communities from all parts of the state, and we don't like for them to have to be on the road all day.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have questions?
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Teresa, for sharing the work that you're doing. Obviously, it's incredibly exciting. And I think in many ways very much applicable to Aurora and Buffalo. So we appreciate your time. We appreciate you sharing your insights. And if Tanya and Shannon, if any other questions come up, obviously you have Teresa's contact information. You can reach out to her. Teresa, is it okay if we share the presentation with the communities? Should I go ahead and send that out?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Great. We'll do that as well.
And just one last thing, as I stated, the conference and all of the sessions and activities are open to anyone. You do not have to be a current participating MCB group.
Very cool. Okay, Teresa, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Communities,
you.
thank you so much for your time. Take care. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks.